help us magnify our expertise and capabilities across every single industry, including and especially construction and infrastructure. So let's maybe take a step back a little bit about the challenges and the opportunities within this sector that you all work in. So interesting, some of the analysis that has been done recently on the Fine Gael, Fianna Fáil and Sinn Féin's housing policy in Ireland. When you cut to the base, it's basically the same policy. They do it in different ways, but it's the same policy. Let's build 50,000 houses a year, and let's take 100 grand off of the price of a house. That's it. They might have a mechanism that they would fundamentally disagree with that, but in its core, that's the implication. They might have different approaches for how they do it, but that's it. So, how do we as a construction industry think about, and an infrastructure industry, think about how we enable that? And let's get some reality into this. It roughly takes, if you take the entire construction industry, and this has been constant for a long time, it roughly takes 2 people per year to build 1 house. That's been pretty static for a long time. The link onto to that is if you look at economic contribution, it's roughly €30 per hour per one of those individuals, and that hasn't moved much in the last 2 or 3 decades. So the question where AI, particularly generative AI, can play a role in helping and thinking, and hopefully we'll make it real with some examples today, is how do we as an industry stand up and address that challenge? How do we get to 50,000 a year and then beyond? How do we drive more efficiency and effectiveness so our economic contribution doesn't remain static? Now, I work across an awful lot of industries. The other one that I invest in quite heavily is life sciences. The fascinating thing with life sciences is that it truly has been transformational in Ireland. And the big change over the last 5 years is the explosion of data. So 80% of the world's data that is held today has been created in the last 2 years. So we have more data than we've ever had. And AI means your definition of data starts to expand. Look at your phone. Your photos, your videos, the PDFs where you have your standard operating procedures. This is all now data that can be consumed. It doesn't have to just be numbers. Point number 2, cloud and edge computing means that we have massively accelerated the ability to create insights as well. And then point number 3 is digital technology means we can automate and present that to the individual that's a decision maker. So let's bring that together. We have more data than we have ever had. We have the ability to process that and create wonderful insights in near real time. And through digital technology, we now have the capability to be able to present that to the decision makers so that they can action and change what happens. And I think that's the big thing you need to think about here. This is about changing what happens on a Tuesday afternoon in your front line, on your construction site, in the lab that I work with in life sciences as well. This is not about beautiful slides. Don't get me wrong, these are beautiful slides. But if that's all we're doing, I'm going to go home. There's no point. This is about changing how your teams work day to day, magnifying their expertise and capability, and thinking about how we can get from 2 people a year per house. What's the target? Can we get to 1.5? Can we get to 1? What are the expert skills and capabilities we can use to actually get that and bring our experts and bring them into the fold? So hopefully that's useful context when thinking about it. And look, as a positioning of AI, there is massive investment and opportunity across what's going on. You've seen it all, haven't you? You've seen it. Hopefully some of you have NVIDIA shares as well, which is underpinning so much of it. And I was lucky to buy them a few years ago, and I'm holding on to them. That is not advice. But I think I want to just highlight a thing up here as well. EY does a study every year of new tech investment and the shareholder return. So how much are you investing in this new tech, and how do you perform versus your peers for shareholder return? AI is the very top line. Here's how I take this. AI is already delivering shareholder differentiation for those that are investing in it. But for all of the new technologies, it's by far the earliest on this journey. And so you need to reflect on that journey about, well, while it is a new tech, while there are huge risks of it making mistakes, as the technology catches up in itself, how do you build the guardrails, the controls? But at the same time, the organizations that invest in AI are the ones that will outperform and outlast. Some of you in this room will be old enough to remember the internet revolution. Surprisingly, I'm old enough to remember it. Don't be a Woolworths. That's the comparison. Woolworths were dismissive of internet. They didn't invest in innovation. We all love the sweetie stuff, but it's gone from our high street. And really reflecting it, we partner with Adapt, and actually I'd really encourage you to see what Adapt do and see if you can work with them as well. They're a collaboration of 8 Irish universities, all heavily investing in AI. Dr. Robert Ross is a real expert in that space. His specialist area is avatars and making avatars more human and approachable, and how humans and that psychology of how humans and avatars work together. Really important when we magnify education, when we magnify healthcare and those areas. His line is, this is 1997 and it's the internet. The internet was a bit crap in 1997, let's be clear. But it significantly accelerated over years. His message is, the difference with the internet is this will accelerate 10 times faster. So again, a core message of this, and I'll start to show you some of the detail, is get early, get invested, make mistakes, start to plan out that journey, and those will be the organisations in this room that thrive. That sounded quite dramatic, didn't it? Let me move on to some of the detail. So, AI and generative AI. So let's have a little bit of a talk about what that is. So firstly, AI has been about for a long, long time. Have any of you visited Bletchley Park, about an hour north of London? No, it's worth a visit. I took my twin daughters, and it was a haggle that I went to a soccer game and they came with me to that. We went to a musical in London, amazing place. Bletchley Park is Alan Turin and that team of experts that came together. Have you all seen the Enigma Code, the film? Is that the basic Bletchley Park? Please don't let us Brits take all of the credit of the amazing work that they did there as well, because it was actually a European collaboration, including a woman called Leslie Vaughan, who went to Trinity. So she went to Trinity, got a first in German. She was actually a lecturer in Queen's. She spent 4 years in Germany, and she actually saw Hitler speak, do one of his talks, and she was terrified. So she was as soon as the war started, she volunteered. And if you think in the Enigma Code, it's overly simplified, but there's a moment when in the Enigma Code, they say they realise that the Germans are actually using German phrases, even in the Enigma Code itself. So it's a massive Sudoku problem. If you can work out some words in the Sudoku problem, or letters or numbers, it's easier to fix. And it was in the film, it's how Hitler. Again, not a phrase I expected to say in front of 40 people, but I would move on. But that phrase gave you 4 more numbers in the Sudoku code, made it easier to process, made them able to fix it. That was Leslie. And when she was 91, she actually got a medal from Trinity and Bletchley Park, recognising that. She sadly died in Dublin in a nursing home, but absolutely incredible contribution. So then let's move forward to that, to the 60s and 70s. And IBM created their Deep Blue solution that was the first computer to beat the human at chess. Wonderful, tremendous, impressive. And all Deep Blue does is it looks at all of the historical data in chess games and it identifies what is the best next move a human has ever done. If you take the best next move of every single human in the history of data you've got in chess, you'll beat the human in front of you. But I think it's an important distinction. It wasn't expanding the human knowledge base, it was magnifying our expert knowledge right in front of them in a way. Let's then move forward to the noughties. And a team funded by Google then did the same thing with the game Go. So you've probably seen Go. It's a slightly bigger board that's on its side. It's more like a drafts movement and very popular in Asia. The big thing with Go is there are many more, a multiple number of more moves in Go than there is in chess. So actually the deep blue effect wouldn't work. The astonishing thing about the AI built by that Google-enabled team was they made strategies that the people that built the algorithm had never seen before. So the experts in the game and expert coders that had built it went, oh my goodness, what is this doing? And there are now strategies that the AI built that humans have adopted that didn't exist beforehand. So suddenly, the AI is not taking the best human move and repeating it, it's expanding the human knowledge. Exciting, terrifying. It's also a black box, so care required in heavily regulated industries that you can understand and justify and explain. But also you have to recognize Go absolutely is knocking your average Go player out of the table. Better strategies, better enablement, better game, it's the human quite easily now. And then generative AI with ChatGPT 4 that was launched probably 18 months ago now. I was astonished at the step from ChatGPT 3 to 4. Incredible. An absolutely amazing jump. My team was less astonished in the AI lab because they said, Paul, this is coming, but I never thought it was going to be that advanced. So, gene generative, it creates an output, video, text, code, images, pre-trained. So in its essence, it's built off a massive offline version of the internet. That means it's really expensive to do. That also means that there are potentially IP issues. And you've probably seen some of the court cases that are going on just now. Interestingly, Microsoft have said they will indemnify anybody using ChatGPT or OpenAI on their platform. That's how important generative AI is to Microsoft's strategy and their share price. And then T, transformer. And that's basically an advanced neural net, natural language processing approach for any of you that are a bit geeky like me. Again, just to go back to that complication and that sophistication, ChatGPT 4 uses 10 times more nodes, more characteristics than ChatGPT 3.5. It is 10 times more complex. So you imagine how much more can this happen? Is ChatGPT 5 going to be 10 times again? And what are those improvements going to look like? And the reflection for yourselves is, as that evolves, am I on the bus or off the bus? So let's talk about the theories again. As I said, images. You probably saw come in. Unfortunately, we couldn't get the video to work. But I've made the video of myself introducing AI. Doesn't sound Scottish, makes me sound a wee bit South African. It's a bit strange. I also look a bit creepy on it. Hopefully I don't look creepy most of the time. But it was dead easy to do. It took me 15 minutes, cost me $1. And really straightforward, just uploading and downloading files to different platforms. 15 minutes to create a half good customized video. You think about the opportunities there as well. Oops, it's all right. There we go. And then across the board, okay, well, here we go. So, allowing you to create
It's the AI.
Yeah, it's the AI. Let me keep on going. Sorry, that's all right. We'll fix it. It's all good. And to cut to the chase here, the reason why we're doing this is value. Here are some of the metrics that we think that AI can enable and deliver into your organizations. You know, these are not small numbers. A 44% reduction in compliance costs, over a 30% improvement in customer operations. You know, these are share price, game-changing contributions, and they are based on work that we have done and benchmarks that we've done with clients. And how much further it goes after that, we don't know. But I think let's be really, really clear. Absolutely, there is some nonsense and hype about AI, but we're a serious company. You're saying those kind of numbers. You missed this at your peril. And we're going to talk a little bit about some of the use cases, and just to thank my colleague Annette for helping with some take and inputs on this. So let's think about the areas where actually it can deliver value. Project management. How can you better predict and forecast delays? If it goes into litigation, where's the fault, where's the rule? How can you automate and improve the insight of the thousands of projects that you've all done in this room and actually turn it into an AI that helps you? I'm going to pause there because someone's going to pick this up later on about the wonderful solution that they're building focused on construction and using AI to direct the best activities in construction. Cost overrides, dynamic forecasting. Can we have a close to real-time assessment, especially for an up-to-date plan, up-to-date cost estimates and everything else? Why do we not have dynamic pricing happening on a real-time basis? Equally on that basis as well, we're increasingly seeing AI as the interface with data. So in a world where you're saying you're pivoting data, why are you doing that? As the AI will get the report that you want. It'll also highlight the report that you need to look at. Safety and QA, and again, some real specialist niche companies working in this space. Let's go back to that video and image. How can you make sure your quality assurance and separately safety, standard operating procedures and policy are then enacted? And how do you implement them into video solutions that allow you to close to real-time monitor and identify any threats and intervene quickly? Doing some really interesting work just now with batch deviation in life sciences. Can we save the batch? Can we identify before a batch deviates that we can intervene and bring it back into life? Can you identify a health and safety failure that's about to happen or is at risk of happening? And can you intervene and make sure it doesn't? Supply chain and procurement. There's also very, very long tails of suppliers. How do those negotiations work? You've got to optimize your inventory, you've got to work through, and trying to actually bring all of that data together, that you're managing all of the materials that have to come to your site, and you're also managing in an effective and collaborative way the associated subcontractors that are working for you. And for example, there's a company called PayApps, and that's the space they're doing. How can we better connect the contractors and subcontractors with these solutions? And then also I've done a lot of work in the past with digital twin. Really interesting. When I started in digital twin, it was a greenfield, one-off model. Let's build it and see what it looks like and what it's going to be. What's really interesting now is you've got the design tools that allow you to better architect, design, and check and automate some of those expensive and specialised skills to come up with that initial design. You can then move on to model them very effectively in a much more detailed level. I know there's lots of entertaining discussions between architects and engineers. Let's try and integrate that into a model that is fact-based and evidence-based. And let's iterate as quickly as we can in those. And then also take that learning and information and build it into the actual infrastructure of the living building. And I think this is the next point that we want to make is this is absolutely where we see this, where organizations are now building this AI-enabled technology into the actual real-time operations of their live infrastructure once it's done. To drive and reduce carbon emissions, we've all got that responsibility now. It's interesting that we're looking at islands and FDI. Location we've done brilliantly, and just to be clear, I live in Leicester, so I know my accent sounds very Scottish, but it would never sound Irish. I've been here 20 years, so please allow me to occasionally really dream Jersey. And absolutely, we need to make sure one of our risks is Ireland going to be seen as a dream place in the future for those FDI investments. You've got a massive role to play in that. in making sure that when J&J, Novartis, whoever decides the location of our next plant, that we've done all the work to make sure that when we have that green assessment, that we're top of the lever as close to top of the lever as we can. AI, generative AI, has a massive role to play there. And then the operationalization of all the complex running of an infrastructure. You know, there are so many little things that need to happen to bring all of that together. How do we automate, magnify, and allow your best people to focus on where they can add most value and automate the rest of it? Right, I'm going to show you some videos, because I'm sure you're sitting there going, yeah, this guy's talking rubbish and I don't believe him. So I'm going to give you a few examples. One of the areas that we are doing loads in is AI around the software development lifecycle. So we are now, Microsoft say they are 40% of their code is now AI generated. That's astonishing. And it's only going to go one way. The other thing, and I want to show you one other examples, we are now using AI to do that initial solution architecture for our technology diagram. And this is what I'm going to show you. These can be complex, they're important, you get them wrong. So this is one of our workbenches. Here is a requirement for an Azure solution. Needs to allow this type of security, needs to enable this customer access, needs to do this and this and this and this. The AI takes it away, and it creates version 0.7 of the actual diagram. Similarly to that, we've done some work with our, examples in life sciences, because that's what we do from a European perspective as well as the housing stuff in Ireland. But we did some work around clinical trials, the submission for a regulator. The objective of the client was to use AI to fully automate clinical trial documentation. He said that was unrealistic. But we said, no, fair. Basically, where we ended up is the AI solution builds version 0.7. Takes from 8 weeks to process to 2 weeks. So critically, and this is really important for yourselves, the human that submits that to the FDA, like the human that submits the planning request or the health and safety, is still personally responsible. The AI, if it's made a mistake in version 0.7, it's the human's job to capture that, to change that, and to own that. So we're not removing accountability, but in a world where we don't have enough people, that really, really helps push it forward. So let me give you another example. So this example is around negotiating. And what we did here was we buy loads of PCs, of tablets, of laptops. So this is a request for 10,000 laptops. What the AI solution is doing is taking 3 submissions for 10,000 laptops, summarizing the response, proposing a negotiating strategy, and writing the proposed email that you should send back to the supplier. I've looked through this in detail. These are pretty good strategies. They're very different from each of the 3 suppliers. It's pretty cool. Please don't use that in UI. But you see, we think it's about 60% of what a procurement officer does. So again, similarly, the procurement officer will still lead the start and the end, but the AI will say, hi Paul, we went for 10 bids, 3 were decent, we got next best price, these are the 2, these are the best one, here's the second best, you decide. We also, and this was, to be clear, this was one of our students in the back room, so let's not pretend this is real. But we got our student to negotiate with the AI in a chat version of it. The AI's pretty good. It's quite specific, and it starts to summarise down the edge what we've agreed, and it does salami the person in the negotiation. We've agreed that, let's move on to the next. We've agreed that, let's move on to the next. As I said, these things are only going to get better and improved. So look, I just wanted to give you an overview. We've got lots of other, actually I'll give you this one example very quickly and then I'll close up. So there are so many things that you do, but let's check this document against these 30 rules. Are you a lawyer? Are you a sign-off of quality? Are you an auditor? This is what this does. It says, hi Paul, for the 30 rules for this area, here are the greens, here are the ambers, here are the reds. So suddenly your expert lawyer, your expert security person or safety person can concentrate on the ambers and the reds. And actually it's the same use case from an analytics perspective. These rules, this document, where are we wrong? So hopefully you can see how this, our legal team hate us, because our client always wants a small change and they have to review an entire document. This does it for them. So, as I said, who's going to win in this? So one, you need a strategy and a focus and a prioritised set of use cases. Two, you're going to have to think about risk and compliance. However, really important, essential, but don't make it theoretical. Pick two of those to start today. Don't pick the highest risk ones, because nobody wants to fail on that, but your governance and your controls will be 100 times better if you've got that understanding. That will also help you think about both the tech requirement and the human infrastructure that you need to do it. So look, thank you very much for your time. I'm really sorry I'm going to shoot off after some of my colleagues are going to stay.
Okay.
Please don't hesitate to follow up if there's any other questions.
Oh, that's an excellent job. Thank you so much.
Thank you.